When the WBC stripped the undisputed super middleweight champion Terence Crawford of their title, he sounded pretty annoyed, but also a little liberated. And the reason is simple. "I'm still considered the undisputed champion," said Bud. "I'm still the champion in the division because you know why? The only belt that's recognizable as the champion is the ring belt, baby. That's the #1 belt in the division that trumps all belts. And guess what? It's free." In a way, he's right. But to understand why Crawford doesn't need a WBC belt, you have to understand how we ended up here in the first place. Back in boxing's heyday, there was just one champion per division. One title, one man, no confusion. There were champions like Henry Armstrong, who, like Bud, became the undisputed world champion in multiple weight divisions. It was him and only him, and it was glorious. But all good things come to an end, especially when money and boxing are involved. By the time Muhammad Ali had risen to power, corruption in boxing was rampant. American champions dominated, often through murky politics, and as a result, two sanctioning bodies formed, the WBA and the WBC. The intention was order, but that wasn't the outcome. Their primary tasks were to award world titles for legitimacy, rank the top 15 contenders, mandate challenges to prevent ducking, and create consistent rules for safety and fairness. That's all very well and good. In return, fighters pay sanctioning fees, usually around 3% of their purse. Plus, promoters pay for the privilege of fighting for their belts, and this is where things start to go quickly downhill. If a fight, or even the promoter, doesn't meet their standards, whatever that means, a sanctioning body can refuse to recognize the fight entirely. In other words, politics come into play, and people start charging boxers huge amounts of money for the privilege alone. "Do that sound right to y'all? It's crazy, ain't it?" asked Bud. "We're the one out there getting battered, knocked upside our head, and every time we step foot in the ring, we got to pay them a sanction fee. Like they're the government, we're getting taxed. It's crazy." Sanctioning bodies were meant to clean up boxing, but mostly they've become gatekeepers with purely profit-driven incentives. And now there's 4 of them. More belts mean more champions, which means more fees. That's why the WBA has regular and super titles. That's why the WBC has silver, interim, and franchise belts. That's why the IBF strip champions and give out new belts at the drop of a hat. The truth is, none of these champions are who they're made out to be. These bodies also complicate matchmaking. Every organization has its own mandatory challenges, so unifying titles becomes a bureaucratic maze instead of a sporting necessity. That's why Vladimir Klitschko went 10 years as the 3-belt unified champ who never got a shot at the undisputed title. Worse still are the rankings. They're completely influenced by politics, promoters, relationships, marketability, and sometimes who can afford to pay the exorbitant fees, not who actually deserves the spot. Just look at Alexander Usyk getting stripped of a title for fighting Tyson Fury in a rematch instead of facing a mandatory challenger that some of the other organizations didn't even rank. Or maybe worse, a champion like Canelo Alvarez never being stripped despite picking anyone and everyone who wasn't a mandatory challenger, like David Benavidez, because Canelo made the sanctioning bodies too much money. As Crawford put it, the WBC, you ain't never see them strip no Canelo for no David Benavidez. He was what, mandatory for like 2 years? It's crazy. But you know, that's that favoritism. And he's dead right. Sanctioning bodies can strip champions whenever it suits them, but they can never take away the lineal championship, and that's what the ring belt is supposed to represent. Beat the man, become the man. That sort of lineage can't be bought or revoked. In 3 different divisions, Crawford won all 4 belts to become undisputed, so you can strip him of all the alphabet titles you like, and the truth will remain.
You're looking at the undisputed champion of the world right now.
The WBC have stripped Terence Crawford of his super middleweight title, claiming the undefeated star hasn't paid their mandatory sanctioning fees. And judging by Crawford's scorched earth response on social media, he's not happy. "Who the f*** do you think I am? Boy, you better slap yourself. I ain't paying your ass. You talking about? Asked Bud. Pay you $3,000? What makes you better than any of the other sanctioning bodies? Crawford earned his third undisputed title with a dominant decision victory over Canelo Alvarez in September of this year. The WBC argues that it lowered its usual 3% charge to 0.6%, meaning Bud owes them $300,000 from his reported $50 million purse. In response, the champ says he paid each of the sanctioning bodies an agreed-upon set fee, so the WBC can go jump. You, the WBC, think you're better than everyone, right? You've got the green belt, which don't mean shit, stated Bud. The real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? To the heavyweights. Tyson Fury just dropped his biggest hint yet of another comeback. The Gypsy King retired 11 months ago, for maybe the fourth or fifth time, but his latest social media posts make yet another about face feel inevitable. The king must return to his throne, misspelled Fury. There is a long and lonely road that only I can walk on, but after the long and hard battles awaits immortality. God's fighting one-man army. The battle was won over 2,000 years ago by a man who goes by the name of Yeshua, which is the Hebrew word for Jesus. In his holy name, I march forward 2026. Fury stunned the world when he beat Vladimir Klitschko a decade ago to win the lineal championship and 3 of the 4 major belts, only to disappear for 3 years due to struggles with mental health and substance abuse. His eventual comeback saw him blast through a conga line of journeymen before beating Deontay Wilder twice in their trilogy to claim the WBC belt, the one major strap he'd never held. After the Wilder series, Fury threatened retirement, retired, unretired, and renegotiated with himself on an almost monthly basis, citing passion, money, and boredom, depending on the weather. He finally stepped away after back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk for the undisputed championship, the second loss of which came 1 year ago, and he was supposedly done for good. Supposedly. Now his cryptic messages suggest a plan forming. Most likely, a trilogy bout with Usyk for one last shot at heavyweight immortality. Or the long-awaited all-British showdown with Anthony Joshua. There'd be no belts on the line against AJ, but the money, spectacle, and national fervor would be more than enough to lure the Gypsy King out for one last crusade. In championship results from boxing, IBF and lineal cruiserweight king Jai Opetaia wasn't thrilled with his win over Hussein Sin Cara, but he still produced one of 2025's most horrifying knockouts. Opetaia fought through an early headshot and a nasty cut before unleashing a colossal 8th-round left hand that instantly shut off Sin Cara's brain. The knockout sparked concern, and both men were hospitalized. Opetaia for a fractured eye socket, Sin Cara for a fractured neck. I feel like I just fought like shit, to be honest, said Opetaia. You get these nights. We go back to the drawing board. I'm very disappointed in myself. I feel like I've let some people down with that performance. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm so pissed off. For the 30-year-old, the next logical step is unification, and he wants WBO and WBA champion Gilberto Ramirez. But Ramirez is booked to fight the light heavyweight champ David Benavidez next May. On the other hand, Badou Jack defends the WBC cruiserweight title in a rematch with Noel Mikaelian this weekend. So that's the likely move for Opetaia to make if Jack can get the job done. In other results, Erislandy Lara's unification bout with Janibek Alamhamala was scrapped when Janibek popped for PEDs. This left Lara to defend against Johan Gonzalez. Oshaki Foster picked up an interim title, and Elif Nur-Turan crushed Beatriz Ferreira to steal the lightweight crown. And Gennady Golovkin, one of boxing's most fearsome wrecking machines and the man who made 20 straight middleweight title defenses, will be joining the International Boxing Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. A silver medalist at the 2004 Olympics, Golovkin was recently elected as the president of World Boxing, the organization aiming to run Olympic tournaments at the 2028 Los Angeles Games. The Kazakh legend finished his career with a record of 42-2-1 with 37 knockouts. After winning his first middleweight title in 2010, he ruled the division until Canelo Alvarez got some lucky scorecards in their 2018 rematch. His 20 consecutive defensives tied Bernard Hopkins' all-time divisional record. This is the biggest honor in boxing and the last piece of the puzzle in my career, Golovkin said of the honor. I'm proud to have a legacy in boxing. Joining Triple G in the class of 2026 will be Antonio Tarver, who won multiple light heavyweight titles and famously knocked out Roy Jones Jr. in their 2004 rematch before winning 2 of their 3 fights. And Nigel Benn also got the call-up. Britain's brutal 2-division champion went 42-5-1 with 35 knockouts, and he held the super middleweight title for 4 years. Rounding out the class are champions Jimmy Clabby, Naoko Fujioka and Jackie Nava. Trainers and cutmen Ross Anber and Jimmy Glenn. Referee Frank Cappuccino. The physician Dr. Edwin Flip Hamansky. And journalists Kevin Iole and Alex Willow.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.